important libraries in Python, such as BioPython. And during my this 3 days, I'll assume that you do not have any prior coding experience. You are all fresh in terms of coding. So I'll start from very, very fundamental concepts, and they'll be build upon those concepts. Okay. So now I'll move on to my computer and start a slideshow. For today's session, we'll have about 5 to 10 minutes of slideshow where I'll cover fundamentals of Python, basic concepts, and then we'll start coding. And so if you at any point, if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay. Let me just go to the computer now. Okay, I hope you can hear me from now. Well, okay. So the first thing, let's start with some very, very fundamental concepts. I hope you can see the screen which I've shared. So first is, how do you start with the installation, and what all do you need when you want to code in Python? So what you need first is a distribution, a Python distribution. There is a software which is actual Python program that you need to install in your computers. Now there are different distributions available. For example, you can go for the official distribution available at python.org, or you can go for packages like Anaconda. So if you do not already have Python installed, I would recommend that you download Anaconda. I'll share all the links for you, from where you can download all these things. But because the advantage is, if you download Anaconda Python, then it comes with a lot of other packages as well. That makes it a lot easier to update and install other libraries while you're coding for your programming. So that's a very nice feature of Anaconda. It's getting popular for those reasons these days. So this is one thing that you need to have. You must have at least one Python distribution installed in your computer. Okay, this is one. For today's session, you don't need Python installation. If you don't have anything installed on your computer, that's okay. You'll still be able to code in Python for today. So, and the next point is, you should also have at least one IDE. IDE is Interactive Development Environment. So what's this IDE is? It's basically an interface. Okay, this is not these four examples like PyCharm, Visual Studio Code, Spider, Jupyter. These are not programming languages. These are not Python. Okay, these are just interfaces. I mean, the interface where you actually type your code. Now you can code in, let's say, Notepad or VI editor and so on. But if you are using any of these editor, it makes your coding experience a lot easier, because there are things like syntax highlighting, auto completion, and so on. So those features really helps to make this coding experience more productive. Okay, so and if you install Anaconda, then you will, on Windows at least, you will get both these bundled within the Python within this Anaconda distribution, the Spider and the Jupyter environments. Okay, this was about Python installation. Now, recently we have seen that Python has gained a lot of popularity. So what is the reason for that? So here I have listed 5 of those reasons why Python is becoming so much popular. First is low entry barrier. So unlike those other languages, like C++ or Java or traditional languages, they have very strong syntax. You have to understand the syntax before you can actually code. But today you will see that Python is pretty much in plain English, and even if you don't know it from day one, you can start coding, and you will see that today. The next is Python is dynamically typed. So what does this means is, here type means not the keyboard typing. Type means data type. Okay, so what this means is that in Python, You don't have to worry about variable data types. We'll talk about that in a while. What are those variable data types? For example, character or a number. So when you declare a variable, you don't have to worry about what that variable is. Is it a character or is it a number? Is it a text? That's different from, for example, C++ or Java, where you have to tell the code that what is the data type of the variable. So for new programmers, not this dynamically typed syntax is very useful. In fact, it helps them to just start coding and not worry about too much about the details in the background. Third is Python is object oriented. So all the advantages of C++, Java, they are available to you in Python. You can create your functions, you can create your classes, and so on. So all those advantages of object oriented languages are available in Python as well. Okay, this is perhaps the most important point: extensive library support. So depending upon what you are doing, which domain you are working on, there are multiple libraries available in Python. So you can just plug and play those libraries and start coding within that domain. I'll give you some example in the next slide what kind of libraries we have. And finally, it's platform independent. So unlike C++, where you have, if you compile your code on, let's say, Windows, you'll get an exe file which will work only on Windows. Similarly, if you compile on Linux, you will get a Linux executable. But that's not the case in Python. So it's platform independent. If you have Python code, same code would run on Windows, Linux, or Mac, or any other operating system. Okay, so these are the key features and advantages of Python. Now talking about library support, so, as I was saying, there are multiple libraries available depending upon what kind of work you want to do. For example, if you want to do numerical analysis, there is NumPy. For statistical analysis, there is SciPy. For making graphs, you have Matplotlib. For data science, there is Pandas. For network analysis, there is NetworkX. And for biological data analysis, there is BioPython and so on. There are many more libraries. So that's the advantage here. You just have to call those libraries and start using the functions available within those libraries. We'll we'll discuss more about libraries as we go along. Okay, so that's it in terms of the slideshow. Now here's the link. Let me just copy this link and share it with you. Just a second. If you have any questions, let me know. Hello, yeah, is someone speaking? So in the chat, I have given a link. Just go to that link, and on that link, you will find information about. If you scroll down to the bottom, you will find information about Anaconda and all the links that you need to download Python, to install Python. Okay. And if you have Python, then you can start with your local installation of Python. If you don't have Python installed, then go for Google Colab. In that link, the workshop material link, if you scroll down, there is a link for Google Colab. So I'll just open Google Colab and show you how to work in Google Colab. I hope you all are able to open the link and also have either your own installation or you have opened Google Colab. I'm opening Google Colab and I'll just share the screen when it opens. Okay, I hope you can see the Google Colab window. So in this, you'll see something like this if you open Google Colab. Okay, so these are the cells where you can type your code. If you're not seeing this, just go to File menu and choose New Notebook. Just open a new notebook, and this is basically a Jupyter notebook. If you have local Jupyter installed on Windows or Linux or Mac, you can open that as well. But if you don't have, just go to Google Colab, and here you can type your code. For example, if you type here print open I, and then after typing the code, you press this play button. This will now execute the code, and you will see the output hi. Okay, so this is how you can work in Google Colab. And uh, see, on the workshop material link, you can copy the code and paste it here to actually run the code. Okay, any questions so far on this? Okay, I assume that you all are able to do this. Okay, let me just unshare this, and now I'll share my other slide. If you have any questions, let me know. Okay, I hope you're all able to start coding now. Okay, so I hope you can see the strings notebook. Now, this notebook is there on the workshop material page. Just go to the left hand side panel and select strings. There are different notebooks available there. Just select strings, and all this code would be there. Okay, and you can just go to the this corner of a cell on that workshop material link, and you'll see a link to copy. Just click there, and the code would be copied, and then you can paste that code on Google Colab. Okay, so let's start with coding now. So we just saw this print hi. So let's run this again and try to understand this basic statement that print hi. What does it even mean? Although it's very intuitive that we are saying print hi and it prints hi. So it sounds in, couldn't find strings. It's on the workshop material page. Do you have the link for the workshop material? It's there. Okay. So let's understand this. How this statement, what this statement means in terms of programming. So in terms of programming, print, this print thing it's a function. Okay, we call this function whenever there is a keyword and there are these parentheses open close. This is called as a function. Okay, so function. Workshop material link. Okay, let me just go to the chat and yeah, so that's the link. Right. I hope somebody has shared the link, so just check that. Okay, let's continue. So this is a function, and this function takes in some argument. Okay, that what has to be printed. Now, what function means is that there is a certain predefined code in the background which gets executed every time you call a function. For example, in this case, when we say print hi, it prints hi on screen. So that means this function, there is some definition that whatever is the argument for this function, you print that on the screen itself. And for example, not print on a printer. So it would always print on a screen. There are certain background in the background when you have installed Python. So the Python comes bundled with certain functions, and print is one of those functions that prints on the screen. Okay, so that's the concept of a function. Now, and so let's go to the strings part. So we say here, let's say x, we call some x equals to, within quotes, string a. Okay, this is just anything. So basically, just let's understand this statement first. What is this? So in this statement, this x is a variable. Okay, it's called as a variable, and this equal to is called as an assignment operator. So what we are doing here is we are assigning some value to x. So what is that value is? That value is string a. Okay. Similarly, let's say uh, we declare another variable var2 equals to another variable, and then we say print x and print var2. So let's see the output. You see now the print has not printed x and it has not printed var2. Rather, it has printed the value of those variables. Okay, so that's the difference between the having quotes and not having quotes. So if you say print within quotes var2, it would print whatever text is there within quotes. So if you run this, it says var2. But if you remove the quotes, now it would print the value of the that variable. Okay, so these are some very fundamental concepts. Okay, now another important point when you are working with variables is understanding the type. What is the type of a variable? So to check the type of a variable, we can say print type, and within parentheses the variable name. And if you do this, it says class str. So string. This is basically a string variable. So we have x is equal to string a. So this is a text. So in Python language, any text is referred to as a string. So similarly, let's say if we have y equals to 4 and we say int type y, it says class int. So because y int means integer, so y is a variable of class int. Okay, because it's a number, and so on. And so there are different uh, data types available in Python. For example, if there is a decimal number, that is called as a float, and so on. So whenever you are working with variables, make sure you understand the concept of the type of the variable. What is the data type? Okay. Um, okay. So another important. Let me just show this length feature. So if you want to know the length of a particular variable, you can call the len function that gives the length of the variable. So we have print var2, another variable, and its length is 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Space is also counted. So 16 is basically the total number of characters, including spaces. Okay. Now, in programming, there is a concept of string concatenation. That means when you have to join certain strings. So for example, let's say we have var1 equals to hello and var2 equals to world. Now if we do print var1 plus var2, so here this plus in mathematics, this is for addition, but when you have two numbers. But if you have two strings, then it is for concatenation. It would just join those two strings. Okay, so let's see the output. It says hello world. Okay, and there's another operator that can be used with string is asterisk operator. So let's say we declare a new variable var3 equals var1 asterisk 3. Now in mathematics, this asterisk would be multiply. So if we have var some number here, it would be multiplied by 3. But what would happen if there is a text instead of a number? If we do that and let's see the output, it says hello, hello, hello. So our var1 was hello, and var3, which is var1 multiplied by 3, now it's hello, hello, hello. So we are seeing hello 3 times. So this is same as what we see in mathematics. For example, if we have 5 asterisk 3, the answer is 15. Now how we got that 15 is 5 plus 5 plus 5. So the same concept is being used here. When we say var3 equals var1 asterisk 3, it translates this to var1 plus var1 plus var1, which is hello, hello, hello. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Any questions? I hope you're coding along with me. That's the best way to understand. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, that is slice of a string. Okay, so slice. So sometimes we need to take a subset of a string or a substring out of a string. So that's where this slice is important. We can just extract a chunk out of a string. So let's see how this slice works. General syntax is you have a particular string, you give a start position and the end position, or you can just give the start position and it would go till end, or you can just give the end position, and you can also give start and step size as well. To understand this syntax, let's take an example that would make things clear. So let's say we have a variable var4 equals to a b c d e f g. Okay. Now we say print var4 and we give this slice operator. Okay, we say within square brackets we say 1 colon 5 square brackets close. So we are saying start colon end. So and minded numbering starts from 0. So a is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are saying start from 1. So that means start from B. That's our starting point. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So we this code will go till 1 minus the end point. So B1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the output would be B2E. That would be the output. So let's see, run this and see what we get. So BCDE. So we have got this as a slice of this string. I hope this makes sense that this 1 is the starting position and 5 is the end position. Okay. So let's see some more example where we have only the start position or the end position. So our var3 is hello, hello, hello. And if we say without any start position, we say colon 7, var3 colon 7. Why are we excluding f? So that's the syntax. So it would go till 1 minus the end position. This is always the case. Because if you look at start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this fifth position is not included. Although in the end it says 5, but it's up to till 1 minus the end position. So that's why B, C, D, E. So let's see another example where we have var3. We are not giving any start position here. And we say var3 colon 7. So we are giving end position. When there is no start position, it starts from the beginning. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So output should be this for this slice. So let's run this and see. So we get HELLO HE as expected. Okay. So it starts from the beginning, go till 1 minus the end point. Similarly, we can have start position only and no end position. So that would start from 0, 1, 2, 3, this position and till the end of the string. So that's the concept of slicing. Now we can also give step size. So by default, the step size is 1. It takes every character, it considers every character. For example, let's take this slice var3 2 colon nothing colon 2. So how to read this is start at second position, go till end of the string, and take a step size of 2. So if we run this, let's just print the var as well, var3 as well, so that we know what was our variable. We got this was our original variable, and a slice that we got is this one. So how we got this slice is our starting position was 2. So 0, 1, 2. We are starting at this L, and from this L, we are going till the end. But instead of having all the characters, because the default step size is 1, so it would, if there was no step size, it would have printed from this L to this O. But since we are given a step size of 2, now it would go from this L to 1 to O, 1 to E, 1 to L, and so on. So it would skip, it would jump alternate characters, okay? Because step size is now 2. Instead of 1, it's 2. You can change this step size, you can make it 3, and our output would also change. For example, again we are starting at 2, 0, 1, 2, this L, and now the step size is 3. So 1, 2, 3, then H got printed, then 1, 2, 3, L got printed, 1, 2, 3, E, and then O. Okay, so I hope this concept of slicing is clear. We'll be using this concept of slicing to parse multiple sequence alignments when we go into BioPython. Okay, so you need to understand the concept here. Okay, so I hope it's clear. Just to check whether you have understood this or not. So can you write a slice operator that takes this var3 hello 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 and the output is triple H? Can you try this? Any guess what would be the slice operator for this? If you have hello 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 as your string and you want to print triple H out of that, how would you slice? What slice operator would you use? You can either type in the chat or you can also unmute and speak. 2 colon colon 5 for hello hello hello. Yeah, then the step size would be 5. Okay, colon colon 5. Yes. And by the way, we don't use parentheses for see all of you are typing parentheses. We use square brackets for slicing. So colon colon 5 is indeed the correct answer. I hope others are also able to follow that why this colon colon 5 is the correct answer. If you run this, you'll get triple H. Okay, and keep in mind that it's square brackets, not parentheses. Yeah. Okay, so let's go to this string comparison part. Many times we need to do some comparisons on string, whether the strings are same or not. For example, when we ask for password, we need to check password, we need to check username. So basically we are doing string comparison. So how that comparison works is that, any questions? Is there any question? If not, then maybe you can mute your mic. Okay, so let's say we have a variable var1 equals hello, var2 equals hello, and var3 equals hi. So to do comparisons, we use comparison operator. And for example, we have double equal to. These are two equal to symbols together. When we have single equal to, that's an assignment operator. And when you have two equal to together, that's an comparison operator. So the output of every comparison is true or false. Okay, you whether either these two variables would be same or they would not be same. So any comparison you do in coding, in any programming, the output is always true or false. So if you run this, you'll see the output for the first is true because both are hello, and output for the second is false because one is hello and var3 is hi. This is how you can do comparisons, and these kind of comparisons are useful when we are doing we want to check certain conditions. We'll go into that conditionals soon. Okay, so another important concept when you're working with strings is splitting the string. So how do you split a string? For example, let's say you have a certain string s1. We call this variable s uh, s1, and we assign it a value. This is a sentence, and then we say words1 equals s1 dot split. Okay, so this split is again a function, and it acts on a string. So s1 dot split, and then we say print words or words1. So let's see the output. It says this is a sentence. So basically what this has done is that wherever there was a space in this string, this is a sentence. This entire thing is one string. So wherever there was a space, it has cut the string at that point. For example, if you remove one space, we'll say this is a sentence. Now we have only three elements. But if so, wherever there is a space, it would split that string at that point. That's because the default delimiter for split function is space. You can change this behavior by specifying your own delimiter. For example, by the way, this hash, if you put hash in the beginning of any statement, that is considered as a comment and it is not executed. Okay, so now that I have put hash here, these statements would not be executed by Python and these would be skipped. Okay, so let's run this now. So this time we have a string s2. This is comma, another sentence, comma, a longer one. So we say s2, this new string variable dot split, and we are specifying a delimiter, that what delimiter to use to split the string. Here we have used comma. So if we say do this, it says this is an, and there's a comma, another sentence, and then there's a comma, a longer one. So if you remove one comma, you will get just two elements. Okay, so I hope this concept of split, how do you split a string based on a certain delimiter, that is clear to you. Okay, so let's say if we use is here, is, then how many chunks would we get? Any guess? Anyone? We are using is as a delimiter. Two chunks. Okay. Any other guess? Anyone? So let's run this one. Okay, let's run this and see what we get. So we got th 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 chunks we got. So let's understand why we got 4 chunks. So of course you must have looked at this this one, this is, and thought it would split here and we get 2 chunks. But no, because this is also a this delimiter, same delimiter. It would split at this part as well. So we'll have th as the first chunk, and then there is space between two these is. Then we that would be another chunk. Then this entire thing is actually three chunks, not four, three chunks. This comma is part of that. So we got three chunks when we use is delimiter as a delimiter. So I hope it is clear to you why we got and how we got this three chunks. If you have any doubt, let me know. Okay. Okay. Now moving on to user input part. Again, many times when we are coding, we want to take some input from the user. So how do you take that input? So the function we use is input, and so we can say we initialize some variable. We call it, let's say, name. This could be anything. It's a variable name equals input, and then we write some message. This message is optional. We can just remove that. I mean, you can just use this as itself. Name equals input. So if we run this, it would show us a dialog box. So just to tell user what to enter, because is this I mean, when your user sees this, they don't know what they should enter in this box. Just to uh, make sure that it is meaningful, we write some text here. Okay, so let's run this again. The input, and then we can write some message before the text box, and we run this. It says please enter your name. So now it's clear that you want user to enter the name, and then it says print the name entered is comma name, the variable name. So again, mind it, when you want to print some text, it has to be in quotes, and when you want to print a variable, it should not be in quotes, and only then the value of the variable would be printed. Okay, let's take another example. Let's say we have a number one, and we want user to enter a number, and then we want to print that number multiplied by 5 as the output. Okay, so let's run this. It says please enter a number. Let's say we enter 5, and the output we got is 55555, but we were expecting 25. So what happened here? Something happened. Okay, this is not the expected output. So the thing is that when you use input function, it takes whatever input is given and assign it to this with variable number one. And when it assigns to this variable, its data type it assigns is string. So you can check the type of number one. It says class str. So it's string. And when you have string and you use this asterisk, it would just concatenate it that many times. It won't do any multiplication. So what we need to do is we need to change the data type of this input. What we can do is we can do number 2 equals int number 1, and then print number 2 asterisk 5. What we are doing here is we are asking user to input a number, then we are changing the data type of that input and assigning it to a new variable, and then we are doing the calculations. So let's run this. Now we got the expected output, and we can actually do this in two sentences as well. We can just do int, and then again it would int output. Okay, explain this again. Okay, let me just undo this. Okay, so when we have these two statements, number one, some variable, we can call it x, is also x equals input, please enter a number, and print x multiplied by 5. Let's run this, and we say 3. The output we were expecting was 15, but instead of 15 we got 33333. So why we got this output? That's because if you look at because the default data type, see, every time a variable is initialized, at this stage what we are doing is we are initializing a variable. Its variable name is x, and its value would be whatever the number user enters. And every time a variable is initialized, it also has to have a data type. So since we are not specifying any data type here, there is no option to specify data type here. So Python by default assigns it as a string data type. So this x, whatever input you take from the user, it would always be string. So, and that you can check as well. See, class str. So it's a string. So that's because it's a string. So when we just saw that when we use this asterisk operator on a string, it just appends that, concatenate that string that many times. There is no calculation, mathematical calculations going on. To change this behavior, that we don't want this x to be a string, what we can do is we can say y equals int x. So we can explicitly change the data type of x. We can, so now we are saying that we have a new variable y, and it should be int, and its value should be whatever value x is of x. And if we now do y and run this, we got 10. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Let me just change my notebook here and go to the next topic. Any questions, anyone? Let me know. Just give me a minute. I'm changing my notebook. Let me just share. Your recording would be given to you. Don't worry. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now let's move on to the loops. When we're doing programming, we we need to many times iterate through lists, iterate through some list we'll go into detail tomorrow. There are multiple things about list. Let me just yeah, so let's just look at the list first, these things. So list is a collection of items. Okay, so far we have seen variables as some a single entity, like x is equal to something, y is equal to something, var1 equals something, var2 equals something. So all the variables are single value. But list, on the other hand, is a collection. It's a collection of either strings or a collection of numbers, or it could be mixed as well, numbers and strings as well. So let's say we have a list fruits, we call fruits equals, and then we have a square bracket. Okay, so list, whenever we are initializing a list, it always have a square bracket, and then it has some elements. So we have fruits, then we have uh, let's say apple, comma grapes, comma mango, and then we can print fruits. It prints the list. Now in list, the numbering again starts from 0. So this apple is the 0th element of the list, grapes is the first element, and mango is the second element. So if we do, let's say, print fruits 1 within square brackets 1, it would print the first element, grapes. Okay, so this is how you can work with list. We'll see some more functions of list later tomorrow. Let me just uh, show you some iteration part, how you can iterate through lists. For example, let's say you have a list called list of numbers. Okay, so you have 1 2 3 4 5 and within square brackets. uh, in this, let's say you want to do some calculations on each of these elements, each of the numbers in this list. So list page I'll add in the workshop material. It's not there right now. You just have to look at this screen for now. Uh, so, so to iterate through the list, we'll use for loop. So we have for some variable, let's say x in list of numbers. So we have to write this, but we have to follow the syntax: for space some variable name space in space then the name of the list, and then there should be a colon. Okay, and in the next line, you should not start the next line with from the beginning. There has to be some indentation. Okay, see, you cannot start from here, so you have to do some indentation, space or tab, and then you say print x, whatever is the variable name you have used here, x and asterisk 2. So if you run this, it prints 2 4 6 8 10 and then done. So what's happening here is that, so we have this list. When we are in this for loop, for statement, it goes like this: for x in list of numbers. So in the first iteration, x would be value 1. It would go to the for loop block and it would say 1 asterisk 2. So it would print 2. And then again, it would go to this for part, and the next x value would be 2. Then it would print x asterisk 2 4. Then x would be 3 6, x would be 4 8, and x would be uh, 5 10, and then finally it would print done. So this is the syntax for int, because these are ints by default. So when the numbers are okay, so let me just show you, just to explain this part first. Any confusion about data type. So let's say you have x equals c and you have y equals c. Okay. And now if you do print type x and print type y. So when you don't have quotes, then the Python by default assigns it as an int data type, the variable. And when there is a quote, the Python would assign that variable as a string data type. Although the value for both these would be same. If you look at, I mean, on screen, they would appear same. Both are 3 3, but this first 3 is a number 3 and the second 3 is a text 3 in terms of programming. Okay, I hope that clarifies. Okay, good. Okay, so yeah, so going to what is required. I missed that part. Yeah, okay, so colon. Where is the colon? Oh, this colon, yes, it is required. It's a must. So for every time you use for statement, this colon and this indentation, these are must. Okay, you cannot skip these. So, and you'll see the reason why here, because this colon says that this for statement is not a statement in itself. There are subsequent statement coming up in the next lines. So that is why we need colon here, because when we say print x, print y, x is equal to 3, y equal to 3, these are statements and there is nothing connected statement in the next line. So that's why we don't need any colon here. But for loop, this
Excuse
colon
me,
is,
sir.
yeah,
Sir, in the statement for x in list of numbers,
yes.
what denotes the x
It's
here?
just a variable name. It's any variable name.
So we can use y or z also.
Yes,
Uh,
we can use var1 also. Anything.
okay.
Just a variable name.
So
So why?
what does that variable work? How does it
Ah,
work?
ah, okay. So good. So why do we need a variable name here? So that's because what we want to do is we want to iterate through this list. We want to move through this list element by element, each 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So where would we store these values? We need some variable to temporarily store these values, right? Because let's say element is 1. So this, how to use this one? So we'll assign this 1 to var1. Then element is 2, we assign this to var1, and so on.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, that's why we need this variable.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, if we remove print done and
Huh.
then we execute it, what will happen?
It would run. Yeah, no done. It would run.
Okay.
Now, so
Okay.
why I have written that, I was going to explain that why do you need this?
Okay.
Because the about point about indentation. Okay, so
Okay.
indentation tells for loop that what all statements are part of the for loop, and if there is no indentation, that statement is not part of the for loop.
Okay,
So
sir. Yeah.
okay,
Thank you.
okay, yeah. So let me just continue on this. So when we do this, you see done printed only once because this done is not part of the for loop. There is no indentation. We can make it part of the for loop by adding indentation. So now every time this for loop executes, every time it takes an element from this list, both these statements would be executed. So let's run this and see the output. It says 2 done, 4 done, 6 done, 8 done, 10 done. So does that make sense, that why we are seeing done every time?
Yes, sir. Made
Yeah.
sense.
Okay. There are some questions in the chat. Can you speak? I have to go back to the chat. I don't know. Output in different lines and different variables. Can we assign different variables to each element in the list? No, I'm not sure. Okay, let me just take the first one. New line. So by default, uh, when we say print I and print hello, these are in new line. Why? Because again, going back to the print function concept, in this print function, it's mentioned that whatever you have printed, after printing, go to the next line. So that's why every time this print statement is done, is executed, it goes to the next line. But we can change that behavior by adding some more arguments. For example, let's say we say end uh, equals comma. Now the end by default is new line. So, and if you want to change this also, we can do this comma. Oh, okay, separate end equals comma. We'll have, but the second print I'm not putting end equals comma. So you'll see the what happens when we run this. So we say 2 comma done. because it's then done, the default, it would be used printed with the default delimiter, that is next line. So the default end is used, so that's why we got this output. We can add end here also as comma, and then everything would be in one line. Okay. And what was the question? Different variables to each element. I'm not sure why you want to do that. You want different variable names for each element. If you want to access individual element of a list, then you can just say print list of numbers, say 3. So 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3. The third, the number at third position would be 4, and you can have it in a variable as well. X is equal to list, then print X. But this is not generally the purpose of list. We don't want each element to be assigned. That's the whole point of using list, that you don't have to have so many variables. If this was individual variables, we would have to have 5 variables. So a equals 1, b equals 2, c equals 3, and so on. So instead of that, we have list, and we can add and remove elements from the list as well. We'll see that tomorrow. Okay. So I hope this for loop concept is clear, that how we can iterate through the list using for loop. Okay. Okay. So let me just stop this sharing part. Any questions? Let me know. Okay. So let's just talk about conditionals quickly, and then okay. So when you're doing coding, many times you'll have to check certain conditions, whether certain conditions are met or not met, and depending on those conditions, you want to execute your code. So for example, let's say you have x equals 5, y equals 6, and then you have this condition, if x greater than y. So if statement is for checking a condition. So an if statement, within parentheses, you should have some condition. Okay, you want to check certain condition, and the output of that condition should be true or false, or that's how you define this condition. So I say if x greater than y, so this would be either true, either x would be greater than y, or it would be smaller than y, and then I put colon, print x is greater than y, and then I say else colon, print x is less than y. Now you see this else, so there is no condition here. So what that means is, if this condition is true, then if part would be executed, and if this condition is false, then the else part would be executed. So if we run this, you will see x is less than y, because x is 5 and y is 6. And again, the same thing like in for loop, if statements also have colon at the end, that's because it's not the end, there is connected statements coming up in the next line, and also there is indentation that tells that which are the statements which are part of the if block, and similarly else has a colon and indentation. So these are the uh, basic concepts of conditionals. We'll look into more of certain more sophisticated examples of conditionals tomorrow, that how we can have multiple conditions, multiple checks we can do with if else. So for now, you can note down this assignment for today. That write a program that takes two numbers from the user as input and print the result of their comparison. So basically, what you have to do is you have to write a program that takes two numbers from the user. Okay, just we just saw how to take input, and then it would print whether the first number is greater or second is greater, and so on. Okay, I hope this assignment is clear. That what you have to do. Okay, so that's your assignment. I'll stop sharing this. And I would suggest you to strongly recommend that you should install Python on your systems. You can just download Anaconda. The link is there in the workshop material page. And if you face any issues in installation or anything, or if you have any doubts, you can email me. I have given my email ID in the chat box. Okay. Any questions, anyone? Anything?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So for the if else statement that you had run at the end,
Uh-huh.
we're trying that we get the result in the same line, that is 2 comma done, that one. So why did we get a 4 at the end?
You're talking about for loop.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me just go back to that. There was this additional print statement. Google Colab would be sufficient, but I would suggest that you should install your local Python. That would be helpful in future as well. So this, I think you're saying why there's this 4.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think with that time when we were doing this, what we did was we did this print list of numbers bracket 3. Something like this. Yeah, that's why we got the 4 here. This statement was there. If you remove the statement, there will be no 4. That's it. Does that make sense or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, then I'll see you tomorrow. Practice this. Go to the workshop material page on strings and also on variables and operators. I have not covered variables and operators in detail today. I hope you'll be able to catch up. But if you have any questions, let me know. Okay. And if you face any difficulty in installation of Python, let me know that as well. Okay. Thank you, everyone, and see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.